Hello, hello, and welcome to episode 168 of the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast. I'm Christine.
And I'm Sam.
We are back.
Yes, we are.
We're back, whether you wanted it or not. Here we are.
It almost feels weird. We've never taken this long of a hiatus before.
It was a long hiatus, but I appreciated it. I really did.
Yeah.
But before we get into all that, let's talk about what we're going to talk about on today's show.
Let's talk about what we're going to talk about.
Our welcome back show.
Okay.
In our noteworthy segment, we're going to tell you all about Sam's most recent trip to foggy London town.
In our main topic, we're taking a look back at 2024 and sharing some of our most memorable moments.
Yeah. But before we get into all that, what have we been up to these past almost 4 weeks?
Yeah, almost a month. Well, so obviously the holiday season has come and gone.
Yeah. Happy New Year, everybody.
Yes. We had some much needed downtime, got to spend some time with family, a little time to recharge.
Yeah.
So it was pretty great.
You know, it was a long time to be gone. And I appreciate everybody allowing us that time. I hope you enjoyed some of the replay episodes that we released. Just before the holidays, we do this annual holiday shopping thing, which I'm not sure that we had talked about in episode 167.
No, we didn't.
Within that shopping trip, one of our annual stops is always the vegan grocery store in North Tonawanda.
Yes, it's essential.
North Tonawanda, New York, the vegan grocery store. Don't miss it if you're in the area.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the things we picked up there were 3 different kinds of vegan bacon, which we really didn't plan.
No, not at all.
We got to check out, and Sam's like, we have 3 different kinds of vegan bacon. I'm like, I know. What's up with that?
Well, first, I think it was just the fact that vegan bacon is not something we keep in the house.
No, it's definitely like a holiday time thing.
It's a treat item.
Yeah,
it's not
every once in a
something
while.
It's not on heavy rotation.
No.
In the house.
No.
So I think just seeing the variety of vegan bacon inspired us to purchase all of it.
We're always excited when we're at the vegan grocery store because there are things there that we can't find in stores near us.
This is true.
So it's always like, it's just so exciting when we're there. We're like,
it's a good time.
Ooh, look at this. Ooh, look at this. And so, yes, we put 3 different kinds of vegan bacon in our cart. And those brands of bacon were Thrilling Foods.
Yep.
Be Real. And one of our favorites, the Upton's seitan bacon.
Yeah, I always get really excited when I find the Upton's seitan bacon.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to come by. Sometimes the vegan grocery store has it, sometimes they don't. And other larger grocery stores that carry Upton's products also don't always have the seitan bacon.
It's true. Yeah.
They'll have the soups and they'll have some of the other products, but they don't tend to have the seitan bacon.
It's really hard to find like the whole line of any vegan brand.
It's true.
You know?
Yeah.
Like the Tofurkey makes a ton of different, like slices and different seitan products.
Yeah.
And you can't find all of them in one place.
No, it's unusual.
Yeah. And same thing with Upton's. Upton's has a huge catalog of vegan products.
Yes.
And it's very rare to see more than 2 or 3 of them in the same store.
And I have to say, I miss the soups because for a canned soup, Upton's is the way to go.
The
for
Upton
me.
soups are really good. They're a little on the pricey side.
Yeah, they are, but they are significantly better than most other canned soups.
Yeah, and they're cleaner too. The ingredients are cleaner.
They are.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we haven't been able to find those lately.
Yeah, but back to the vegan bacon.
Sorry.
Which was the point. So we ended up doing a not planned vegan bacon taste test. So Thrilling Foods bacon, we have never tried. We hadn't tried before. And then the Be Real bacon, we hadn't tried before. So the only one of the 3 that we had before was the Upton's.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on the other 2?
Well, the thing is, because this was not a side-by-side taste test. Let's just toss that out there. Okay, so this was not a side-by-side taste test. We had the different bacons during different meals and honestly spread out over the course of almost a month.
It's true.
So
This wasn't a scientific process.
No, not at all. No. So there was a clear difference for me between the Thrilling Foods and the other two. Mm-hmm. I think Thrilling Foods flavor comes closer to bacon.
Totally agree.
But I'm not as crazy about the texture. It doesn't get as crispy as either the Thrilling Foods or the Uptons. And I like that. Yeah.
You said the Thrilling Foods doesn't get as crispy as either the Thrilling Foods.
Oh, sorry. As either the Be Real or the
Okay.
Uptons.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah, it just doesn't quite have that crunch. And for me, that's kind of the point of bacon, is that little bit of salty crunch.
Yeah, I'm going to make a correction here because it's not Be Real, it's Unreal.
Oh, excuse me.
It's Unreal bacon.
Should we go back and do that whole thing again?
No. We're not going back. We're not going back. We're forward, only forward.
Okay.
Gaily forward. So anyway, yeah, I totally agree with that. I think the most bacony flavor came from the Thrilling Foods bacon. Mm-hmm. I think that the most bacony texture comes from the Upton's bacon.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Although for me, there's not a whole lot to distinguish between the Unreal and the Uptons. They're very similar.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, just my opinion. I think that the Unreal. What do I think about the Unreal?
I don't know. You haven't said it yet.
I think that I think with all of these, maybe this is true, but I found it particularly with the Unreal bacon that there is a very fine line between cooked, slightly crispy to way overcooked.
Oh, sure.
And I think that is probably true for all of them. And maybe I just found that in the way I cooked the Unreal bacon.
Yeah.
One thing I will say about all vegan bacons that I have tried so far is that every one of them are extremely difficult to get out of the packaging without breaking them and making it fall apart.
This is so true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thrilling Foods does put on their packaging a little tip, which is how I do it anyway, is to take a dull knife, like a butter knife or something dull, not sharp, and slide it between each slice gently to get
release the bacon.
Yes, to release the bacon. Yes, and that is what I've always done. And I would say with the Thrilling Foods bacon, it is easiest because the slices are thickest.
Right.
With the Uptons, it is most difficult because the slices, some of them are like paper thin.
It's true.
And it's not consistent. You'll get like a thicker slice than a thin, super thin.
Sure.
You know?
Similar to tofurkey, honestly.
Yeah.
When you get tofurkey slices, some of them are like paper thin and some of them are a little thicker. And,
there's no consistency there. Mm-hmm. I think vegan packaging in general could use some help.
Yes.
Less plastic.
Yes. I definitely agree with that.
More like resealable kind of options.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
More products that don't require you to use scissors to get into them.
Yeah.
Almost all vegan packaging requires scissors to get into them. It's except on the top of my head, I can think Violife cheeses have a tabupole and you can reseal it.
Oh, okay.
And that's great.
Sure.
But way too much plastic. I mean,
oh yeah.
Then not just vegan products, just products in general. There's way too much plastic packaging.
No argument.
You know? Mm-hmm. So that was our not official vegan bacon taste test and review.
Yeah, it was very unofficial.
Yeah. I liked all of them for different reasons.
Oh, I'm perfectly happy with all of them as well.
Yeah. The Thrilling Foods bacon is really pricey.
It is.
For what you get.
Yeah.
Now they are a very small company, so you'll have that. So that's one thing to consider. Mm-hmm. But
for sure.
It's good. I like it. And I know the vegan grocery store, they have like a grab and go food section and they use the Thrilling bacon on all their like breakfast sandwiches and they make like a vegan Beyond Burger or vegan Impossible Burger.
In fact, I think we had those vegan Impossible Burgers that day.
We did. Mm-hmm. We were hungry.
Yeah,
they made these cute little cheeseburgers. They were so good.
They were good.
So that was fun. What else have we been up to?
Well, really, it was shopping, holiday crazies.
Yes, holiday extravaganza.
Sam Goes to London.
It was. It really was.
That was absolutely the layout.
Yeah.
Because our holiday festivities started on December 20th. My brother, Owen, and our niece, Lucy, came up to hang out with us for a few days. And they left on, not the 20th, the 21st, they came up.
Right.
And then they left on the morning of the 24th. And then we spent Christmas Eve and Christmas Day with Christine's family in Erie.
Yep.
And then the 26th, we did our own Christmas at home, just the two of us.
Yeah, we like to do that so we're not rushing around, or we don't have to leave. We can do, have a nice relaxing kind of Christmas day to ourselves.
Yeah. Which was awesome.
Yeah, that was really great.
And then the 27th, I was getting all packed up. And on the 28th, I left for London.
It's true. And we'll tell you all about that. Before that, though, we have some really exciting news.
Yeah, we do.
A couple of days ago, I received a text message from our friend Andy from the Bearded Vegans. And the text message said, "Congratulations on being nominated for a Veggie Award. I voted for you." And I'm like, what? Like, we didn't even know. But apparently, we are nominated for Best Vegan Podcast in the 2025 VegNews Veggie Awards.
So cool.
We'll put a link to voting in the show notes of this episode. And also, if you're in the Western New York, Central New York, if you're anywhere anyway, you can also vote for our friends at the Vegan Grocery Store, because they are also nominated in the Vegan Grocery Store category.
They sure are, for the second year in a row.
Yeah. So we are amazingly thrilled to be nominated and included in that. That's really fun.
Yes, Christine sent me the information. I was just sitting down to my last dinner in London. We were having some vegan tacos that had some Beyond Steak involved before my friend Dan and I went to see Oliver, which was the last of our 11 shows that we saw in the space of 9 days.
Yeah.
And I get this text from Christine that says, check this out. And it's just the information that we had been nominated for Best Podcast in the Veggie Awards. And so completely unexpected.
Totally.
Really kind of thrilling.
Yeah, we're honored to be nominated.
It's really amazing.
Yeah. Like people say, it's just an honor to be nominated.
And it totally is.
Yeah. It really is.
It totally is.
Yeah.
Like, I'm over the moon.
And thank you to some of our listeners. If you're one of them, thank you very much, that have been writing us in, because they do have a write-in category. Because I also have been writing us in.
That's funny.
In the writing category. Just for fun, right? And I don't know how the nomination process works.
Neither do I.
It's internal over there at Veg News. It's not something that people can vote on, as far as I'm aware.
No, I don't think so.
I think it's completely handled internally over there at Veg News. So thank you, Veg News, for the nomination. Voting ends January 31st.
That is correct.
Like I said, we'll put a link. You can vote for all of your vegan favorites. There are a ton of categories. We're in category number 38.
Out of 40.
Yeah. It's fun to vote. And when you vote, it enters you in to win a bunch of really great prizes.
Yeah.
Trips,
bunch of really
and
awesome
stuff like
prizes.
that.
Yeah. Trips, gift cards, subscriptions, all kinds of things.
Yeah. So that's really exciting. All that said, I guess we should jump into our noteworthy segment.
London, baby.
London, baby. So, Sam, tell us all about London.
Oh my gosh. So any of you who have been listening to us for any length of time know that I absolutely adore London. It is my favorite city. And this was my 6th trip to London. And it really is starting to feel almost homey.
Yeah, I think after you visited a city that many times, you know your way around. You know some favorite places you love to stop. You know where all the stores are.
Yeah.
You know, in what area you're in. And it really does start to become homey. You know your way, on the subway, your way through the tube and all that jazz. So,
yeah, just super, super fun. And of course, for me, one of the best things about London, okay, it's not just the history and the theater and the city itself, which I just absolutely love, but it's the restaurants. London is one of the most vegan-friendly cities in the world, and it certainly shows in its array of restaurants. One thing that's really impressive is that no matter where you go, just about every restaurant will have at least a few vegan options. It's very rare to come across a restaurant that is entirely non-vegan.
Yeah, not like here in the States where you have like steakhouses and like wing cities and places like that where it's animal product, and the only thing you can get is maybe French fries. Hopefully they're not fried in some sort of animal oil.
Right. Exactly. So, I did get to go to a couple of fully vegan favorites. The number one of those is clearly Mildred's.
Mildred's, yeah.
Oh my gosh, Mildred's. I love Mildred's. So I went to Mildred's twice while we were there this time around. The first one was on New Year's Eve. We had just seen a production of Matthew Bourne's Swan Lake, and Dan and I wandered over to Mildred's, and we had a beautiful 3-course meal starting with some vegan arancini. And this was the first time I had vegan arancini.
I had vegan arancini someplace else, but I can't remember where. I love arancini. So if I find a vegan arancini, you can bet I'm going to order that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I pretty much got these in Christine's honor.
Yeah. And she was sending me pictures all along. I'm like, it all looks so good.
So we started with some vegan arancini, and then Dan had one of their vegan chicken sandwiches, and I had their house-made burger, which was a beetroot and potato patty, which was absolutely spectacular. And it had kind of a carrot, cabbage, and lime slaw on it, along with a nice kind of a spicy aioli and some other wonderful toppings. I put both vegan bacon and vegan cheese on it just because, it was New Year's Eve. Why not? Do it up.
Make it a supreme.
That's right, because I usually don't put cheese on things.
Yeah.
But I went for it, and they had these gorgeous salt and pepper fries on the side, which were absolutely amazing. And then for dessert, Dan and I each got one, but we shared because neither of us could decide what we actually wanted.
Oh, that's the way to do it.
Oh, totally. And so Dan got the white chocolate tiramisu.
Nice.
And I got the rum butter sticky toffee pudding.
It sounds so London.
Which was insane. I had never had a sticky toffee pudding before.
It looks good.
It is just a consummate British dessert.
Yeah. It wasn't too sweet.
No, it was spectacular. And what sweetness there was kind of cut through by some pineapple and vanilla ice cream.
Oh, nice.
It was almost like a pineapple upside down cake, but ramped up.
Yeah.
Like,
with the
crazy. The toffee and the kind of the butter rum. It was just fantastic.
It sounds really good.
Yeah. So we shared those. And then our second trip to Mildred's, that first trip was to Mildred's King's Cross.
I was about to say, aren't there 2 different locations?
There are several.
There's more than 2?
It's not just 2. There are several.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the exact count. I'll have to go back and look. But there are definitely more than 2. So we started out at Mildred's King's Cross, and then, let's see, this would have been 2 days before leaving. We had our final Mildred's, which was at Mildred's Covent Garden.
Okay.
And we had their tasting menu.
Yeah, I love it when a restaurant does a tasting menu.
I really wish more restaurants would do this.
Me too.
So they had this wonderful tasting menu.
Yeah.
And I really love this just because sometimes, especially when you're going to a fully vegan place that is not easily accessible to you throughout the year. And it's like, well, I can't just go down the street and have these other options next week. It's like you kind of want to try everything.
Yeah.
Which you obviously can't for a couple of reasons. One, probably neither your stomach nor your wallet are big enough to handle that.
Right.
Yeah. So having a tasting menu like this that allows you to sample multiple dishes is really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
So on Mildred's sharing menu, we had 3 full courses and then a mini dessert. And so the first course was some absolutely beautiful pita bread with rainbow pickles, a red pepper romesco, which was unbelievable. You would have just died over this.
Really?
The red pepperiness of this was spectacular. And with the pita, it was just absolutely divine. And then a salsa matcha hummus. which was candied pine nuts and pumpkin seeds, smoky Mexican peanut chili oil, of course, with chickpeas and tamari and all that good stuff.
And matcha.
No, matcha, M-A-C-H-A, not matcha tea.
Oh, okay. What is that?
I honestly don't know.
Guess more research is required.
More research is required.
Okay.
And then in the second course, we had some Ras El Hanout cauliflower.
I love Ras El Hanout.
Yes.
If you like Mediterranean or Middle Eastern flavors, get yourself a jar of Ras El Hanout. It is a spice combination. And it's one of those spices that you put it on something and everybody's going to go, what is on this?
Right.
It is so good.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we had the arancini rossi.
Okay.
So those lovely arancini that we had on New Year's Eve made an appearance in the tasting menu, which we were absolutely thrilled about. And these were smoked paprika mushroom risotto balls with garlic aioli and smoked chipotle ketchup.
There's your rossi. The
So
paprika
good.
made them red.
Absolutely. There were some kimchi gyoza.
Ooh, I would
So
like
these
that.
were pan-fried dumplings that had house kimchi and sweet gochujang sesame dip.
Ooh, I love gochujang.
I know you do. And so, put the gyoza dumplings, and these were dumplings with kimchi in the center.
Yeah.
And they were accompanied by additional kimchi.
Oh,
Yes. Now, I'm not a huge kimchi fan.
I love kimchi.
I know you do, but I don't know. For some reason, it doesn't hit my palate the right way. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, you don't like fermented things.
Exactly. And so anyway, I did have my share of the kimchi dumplings.
And they were good?
Yeah, they were subtle enough that they were quite tasty. But Dan did take the extra kimchi because he also loves fermented foods. For him, fermented food is like mother's milk. And then finally in the second course, we had Biber patatas bravas.
What is that?
These were the star of the second course for me. These were triple cooked potatoes with Turkish hot pepper sauce and garlic aioli.
You had me at potatoes.
I know, but these were amazing.
Yeah,
Like
they sound really
just ridiculously amazing. Like I kind of couldn't stop picking at them.
They were like crispy.
Yeah, they were crispy and a little bit fatty, but then there was this hot pepper sauce, so they had some heat, but then there's an aioli, so there was a cooling element. It's kind of had everything going on.
Nice combination.
Yeah, they were absolutely gorgeous. And then for the main course, we had a beetroot dal dala and raita. So this was a spicy pandan leaf infused curried beetroot with a creamy coconut yogurt dip. And then we had kiri hodi, which is a Sri Lankan coconut curry, sweet potato and green bean pilau, toasted cashew sev, rainbow pickles, and mint coriander chutney.
Wow, a lot going on there.
And this was served with a very simple cucumber herb salad. So it was just some greens and herbs with cucumber and tomato. And then finally, we topped that all off with their tiffin truffles, which were dark chocolate with cookie pieces, apricot, and crystallized ginger.
I'm a big fan of anything apricot, so I would probably have liked that.
You would have, absolutely. Yeah, it was a really, really rich dark chocolate. And these were small truffles, and you just got one per person. But they were beautifully, beautifully rich and dark, not overly sweet. But the apricot and the ginger just kind of kicked it up a notch. It was really beautiful.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic.
Absolutely wonderful. So that was the Mildred's tasting menu. And I'm sure that as they go through the year, the tasting menu changes seasonally, as Mildred's menu does tend to change with the seasons. So I would definitely keep a lookout for that if you are in the UK and in London specifically.
Yeah.
It really is a wonderful way to experience kind of a broader section of their menu.
Yeah, I would love a restaurant that's nothing but tasting menus.
It would be pretty cool.
You can have maybe just have 2 or 3 tasting menus. It makes, number one, I think it would make the restaurant's job so much easier. It definitely makes servers' job so much easier. I'll have tasting menu number 2.
Right.
And then you get to experience all the things that they can make in smaller bites. I would love that.
And so also just the fact that you're sharing everything with whoever you're having dinner with just makes the meal more communal and more conversational. Not that Dan and I need any help with conversation.
No, but it makes it more of an experience instead of just a meal.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah. So it was delightful. So 5 stars for Mildred's once again. I'm sure we'll go there again next year when we're back with round 3 of this trip. Let's see, where else did we go? Oh, we finally made it to Dishoom.
Dishoom, which is not 100% vegan.
No, it's not.
Indian, correct?
Yes, it's kind of an Indian fusion.
Okay.
And again, there are several locations across London. Okay. And we went to Dishoom Covent Garden, which is actually right around the corner from Mildred's Covent Garden. Convenient. And we had meant to go there last year, but due to an injury I sustained while climbing the dome at St. Paul's Cathedral.
Yeah, I think everybody, if you listened to last week's replay, heard about that, because last week's replay was London 2024.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
So due to that, I was out of commission on the day that we were supposed to go to Dishoom, and so that just didn't happen. But we made it there this year, and oh my God, am I glad we did. I'm not usually one for being wowed by a restaurant's atmosphere, but with Dishoom, I absolutely was.
Yeah?
Yes. It was this absolutely gorgeous, like 30s, 40s Art Deco, just semi-South Asian, semi-European. Like, it was just gorgeous.
Yeah, you sent me pictures, and the pictures looked really cool. I'm sure the pictures didn't do it justice.
The pictures didn't even come close to doing it justice. It really was spectacular. The atmosphere in the restaurant was really quite amazing. But also amazing was the food. So we started out with some papadums and some mango chutney.
Tell everybody what a papadum is.
So a papadum, you can see these in many different iterations, depending on what kind of Indian restaurant you're in, but they are a kind of a crispy snack. And at Dishoom, they were almost like, the closest thing I can equate them to is like rice checks, but bigger.
Right. Do you, correct me if I'm wrong, do you normally take a papadum, like tap on the top and then fill it with things?
No.
What is that I'm thinking?
You're thinking of pani puri.
Pani puri.
Yeah. You're thinking of pani puri.
I am. Yeah.
Yeah, which are completely different. And we didn't have any pani puri on this trip.
Okay, sorry.
It's okay. No problem. So usually papadums are flat.
They're flat.
Yes. But Dishoom's papadums were kind of like rice checks. It was like they had 2 layers with air in the middle, and they were neat. Kind of checkered.
Yeah.
And they were also beautifully spiced. I'm not sure what the spice blend on the papadums were, but they were fantastic. Dipped them in some mango chutney, and they were absolutely spectacular. After that, we, of course, got vegetable samosa, because it's impossible for me to go to an Indian restaurant without getting vegetable samosa.
No, you got to get samosas. Samosas are life.
They are just so quintessential.
Yeah.
When it comes to Indian food. Unfortunately, every Indian restaurant we went to was serving a vegan version of veggie samosa. They're not hard to come by. The reason why a veggie samosa wouldn't be vegan is, generally speaking, because of ghee. Clarified butter.
Right.
Yeah. Either in the dough or in the filling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the veggie samosas were absolutely spectacular. They were small. The dough was perfect. They were crispy on the inside with beautiful fluffy filling on the inside, perfectly spiced.
Yeah.
Just out of this world.
Crispy on the outside.
Yes. Crispy on the outside, fluffy on the inside. That's how they should be.
Yeah. And they usually have like potato and peas and
Yep. Potatoes, peas, onions, every now and again carrots, but potatoes and peas tend to be the primary ingredients.
Like going to an Indian restaurant and not having samosas, if they're offered, is kind of like going to a Chinese restaurant and not getting an egg roll.
It's a similar idea.
You know, it's like, you gotta. You gotta.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then the other appetizer we got, they had some okra fries.
Were they crispy?
Yes, they were.
Okay. I think that's the only way I would probably. I'm not a huge fan of okra.
Well, the thing is, I think a lot of times when you think of fried okra, you think of the okra being cut into circles.
Right.
And then fried. And sometimes when they're done that way, the okra can get a little bit rubbery.
Yeah.
Not this case. It was almost like the okra was it was pretty much julienne.
Okay.
And so the pieces were really thin.
Oh, okay.
And then they were very lightly breaded. and fried.
Oh, breaded and fried.
Yes, and they were exceptional.
Okay.
Yeah, they were crispy, they were salty, they were really flavorful, absolutely fantastic.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. All right, and so for me, instead of getting kind of a traditional, curry and rice dish, which I knew I was very likely to do at one of our other Indian ventures during the week, I decided to kind of get a variety of small plates. And so one of the things that I got was the Dishoom House Chat. And again, this is one of those things that has a bit of everything to it.
Okay.
It's warm, it's cold, it's sweet, it's tangy, it's spicy, it's just amazing. So this was golden fried sweet potato covered with yogurt, pomegranate seeds, beetroot, radish, and carrot. And then it had a tamarind drizzle and green chutney.
Ooh, that sounds really good.
It was insanely good. Just the blend of all of those flavors was absolutely amazing. And so that was one of the things that I got. And what else did I pick? Hang on. Oh, I got some grilled greens because I've noticed that at a lot of restaurants in London, even the vegan ones, like just vegetables, don't tend to be a centerpiece.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just eating out in general.
It is. And I'm so used to having big salads or, like a burrito bowl with a substantial amount of either raw or roasted vegetables.
We eat a lot of vegetables.
We do eat a lot of vegetables.
Yeah.
And so I was jonesing for some vegetables, just vegetables at this point. And so I got their grilled greens. And so these were tender stem broccoli and snow peas with a Bengali mustard dressing.
Ooh.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And then I got some, of course, because you can't not have bread. We got the tandoori roti, which is a whole wheat bread that is done in a tandoor. So it's a little bit charred.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fantastic. And I used that to kind of scoop up my my chaat.
Yeah, they slap the dough onto the side of the tandoor oven.
And when it falls off, that's when it's done.
Yeah, it's good. That's good stuff.
It's really very cool. I actually got to watch tandoori roti being made in India, and it's just the coolest thing.
Yes.
Just so awesome. So that was Dishoom.
Dishoom.
Yes. So
does Dishoom mean something? Or is it just a fun name? Because I know it's fun to say. Dishoom.
Well, hang on a second.
Let's see if we can find the translation.
I'm working on
for
it.
Dishoom.
A few moments later.
Dishoom is a 2016 Indian Hindi language buddy cop action comedy.
Okay.
There you go.
But that still makes me think it means something. Or is it just a onomatopoeia?
I'm not sure.
Dishoom.
I'm honestly not sure.
Well, regardless.
Again, more research is required.
Yeah. So that was Dishoom.
That was Dishoom. And
what other foods?
Oh gosh, other foods. Well, before I get to the next foods, I want to talk about foods that we were going to get to taste and we didn't get to.
Oh, there was some sad news.
And now at this point, I can probably safely say that I never will.
Yes. Unity Diner.
Unity Diner, of course, the project of my favorite vegan activist, Earthling Ed Winters, has announced that they will be closing their doors as of February 1st.
Yeah.
Which is just so sad.
It's very sad.
It really is. And the reason that they gave is just supply line complications and the fact that the price of everything has gone up in the past year or so, that they're just having trouble making ends meet.
Yeah. Restaurant touring is not for the faint of heart.
It most certainly isn't. So we did have a reservation at Unity Diner, but unfortunately it was set up for kind of an in-between meal between two plays that we were seeing, and we had mistimed the opening of the first play. We thought it was at 2, but it was at 3, and so that cut the window too short, so we had to cancel the reservation.
Yeah, it's
so
sad.
We didn't get to go to Unity Diner. And as I said, unfortunately, it will be closing. Now, the sanctuary to which all of Unity's proceeds went will remain in operation.
Okay.
So should you wish to support that endeavor, you can still donate.
Oh, well, that's good. And maybe they'll come up with another,
Another iteration of Unity Diner somewhere down the line.
Or even just another means of funneling money.
That's right.
To the sanctuary.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
But yes, that was kind of sad.
That is sad.
Yeah. Also, last year, one of my great surprises being in London was finding Tarte Modern.
Yeah.
Which did vegan pastéis de nata.
Yeah.
Well, we went to track them down again this year, and it turns out that currently all Tarte Modern locations are closed.
Wow.
It doesn't say why or for how long. We don't know if this is a final closing. When we did get to the Tarte Modern location that we were familiar with, all of the signage was still up.
Oh.
So I'm thinking maybe it's a temporary closing.
Yeah, but they didn't have anything saying, we'll be open again or that we're closed for holidays or...
No.
Yeah. Interesting.
So we were unable to get the vegan pastiche that I loved so much. No pastiche.
Oh, that's really sad.
But some of our other amazing dining experiences, one was at Sagar Vegetarian and Vegan. And this is a very, oh my gosh, it's perfect traditional South Indian food.
Yeah.
Dishoom's menu is super creative and super contemporary.
Yeah,
and
it's a fusion.
All kinds of wonderful things. But if you want the real deal, if you want Indian food at its core,
authentic.
At its heart, Sagar is the way to go.
Yeah.
It was just amazing. As with Dishoom, we of course started with veggie samosas, which were equally fantastic. They were bigger than the ones that we got at Dishoom. Big enough that you had to slice them into at least two in order to eat them. And they were spectacularly crispy on the outside, beautifully fluffy on the inside, perfectly spiced. It was exactly what a samosa should be.
Yeah.
Yes. And then from there, Dan got a chana masala with basmati rice. But I went for their vegan thali. Now, if you're not familiar, thali is not just a meal, it's an experience.
Yeah.
And it allows you to taste numerous dishes that are on offer in one fell swoop.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, totally recommend getting that. If an Indian restaurant provides a thali, get the thali because then you get to taste all of it.
Absolutely. Now, Sagar is not fully vegan, but it is fully vegetarian.
Oh, so there is some dairy.
There is some dairy,
okay.
But they are incredibly good at indicating what is vegan and what is not. And I would say at least, it's probably 70% of the menu is vegan.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So there are tons of things to choose from. But of course, because I couldn't make up my mind, I had to get the vegan thali.
Yeah.
So this was a large silver platter with a variety of things going on, including papadam, which we already talked about. And then we have chana masala, which
Wait a minute. Let's compare. How are the papadam? Oh, well, you said
completely different.
Dishoom papadam were not like normal papadam.
They weren't traditional papadam.
Yeah.
No.
Sagars were traditional.
Sagars were traditional. So it was a big, flat, crispy piece of bread.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Then we had chana masala, which is a chickpea curry.
Yeah, yum.
Brinjal bhaji, which is an eggplant curry, and which was absolutely spectacular.
Okay.
Vegetable korma, sambar, a potato palya, which was absolutely amazing.
What's in a palya?
It's really just spiced potatoes.
Okay.
So it was potato. You could tell they were kind of pan fried a little bit with spices.
Oh, okay.
Then we had suki bhaji, which is another kind of, I think, a tomato-based curry.
Yeah.
Then some lemon rice, some paratha, And the paratha was this beautiful, fluffy, warm, fantastic bread, closer to naan.
Yeah.
Not exactly naan, because almost all naan has buttermilk in it. It's one of the things that distinguishes naan from paratha.
Yeah.
But beautifully fluffy and warm and perfect for kind of scooping up all these curries with some of the lemon rice. And then for dessert, we had the jaggery dosa with ice cream. So this was a golden vegan butter crepe smothered with warm sugar cane, topped with ice cream. It was crazy. Almost a little too sweet for me.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just a little bit. Thank heaven the ice cream kind of cut the sweetness of the sugar syrup.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think I would have had to chalk it up to being too sweet.
Yeah.
But this really, really was a perfect example of traditional South Indian food.
Yeah.
Like, in the first bite, I'm like, oh my God, this tastes like India. It was what I had remembered.
Yeah.
From being in India. So highly recommend. Now, interestingly, Sagar turned out to be right across the street from another restaurant that Dan and I went to. But we hadn't noticed it when we went to the restaurant I'm about to talk about, which is Sarastro's.
Okay. What is Sarastro's?
Sarastro's, this is probably the most niche restaurant I've ever been to.
Okay.
The interior is kooky and weird. It screams theater district.
Okay.
And like the tables, some of them, the table we were sitting at was kind of like underneath like this balcony kind of space, and it was very tight and a little contained, but it was just so cool and so wacky and weird. Absolutely loved it. Now, Sarastro's was offering a prefix menu that day, which Dan took advantage of, but they didn't have a vegan version of it.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So thankfully, they did have a vegan appetizer, a vegan entree, and a vegan dessert. So I got to do those three things. They only had one option in each category, but it really didn't matter because they were phenomenal.
Okay.
And so the first course for a vegan was a stuffed avocado. So with this, of course, you got half of a fresh, ripe avocado stuffed with kind of a corn salad with all kinds of lovely spices, a bit of lime, and it was just fantastic.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm. It was wonderful. And then for the main course, I had a vegetable tagine.
Oh, tagine is good.
I do love me some tagine.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So this is kind of somewhere between a stew and a curry. Not as thick as a curry, but a little thicker than a stew. Beautiful vegetables, potatoes, carrots, green beans, bit of zucchini.
Did they serve it in a small tagine bowl?
Not with the lid, but with the
base?
The size of the base was tagine-esque.
Yeah.
Yes. And then that came with a side of roasted potatoes, which was absolutely wonderful. And then the dessert was a poached pear with blackberries, raspberries, and vanilla ice cream.
Well, that sounds good. You can't go wrong with poached pear.
You really can't.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. So this was probably the most unexpected dining experience of London for me because I knew nothing about this restaurant.
Right.
In fact, the reason we went to it was because Dan had been to it 20 years ago.
Oh, no kidding.
When he was on this trip as a student.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So he's like, okay, we did this. We've got to try this. And as you know, I will just very quickly look at the menu. And if there's a vegan option, I'll go, yep, that's good. Let's do it.
Yeah. So for him, it was nostalgic.
It was a bit nostalgic. And so, yeah, the whole meal was lovely. And it was just such a quirky, unusual place. I was really, really glad we went there.
Yeah.
So those were kind of the standouts. We also, of course, did Wagamama.
You got to do Wagamama.
Got to do a Wagamama. That was actually our first dinner in London, and we got all of our students together at the Clink Street Wagamama, which I had never been to before. I had been to, of course, Tower Hill, and I've been to South Bank, but I hadn't been to the Clink Street Wagamama. We went there. It was absolutely fantastic.
They have an entire vegan menu, don't they, Wagamama?
They do. They have a substantial vegan menu.
Yeah.
And now, even though we're not talking about it being fully vegan, at least half of Wagamama's menu is now plant-based.
That's great.
So either vegan or vegetarian.
That's great.
So it's really wonderful that they're kind of moving in that direction.
Yeah.
And so, of course, I had a wonderful coconut curry with vegan chicken, and it was fantastic, absolutely fantastic, followed by their banana katsu for dessert.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a fried banana with salted caramel.
You've gotten that before.
Yeah, I got it last year. And I had to get it again because it was so good. And again, I'm not usually a banana person, but put banana with some salted caramel ice cream and like some crispy topping. Yeah, I'm there. Yeah, very, very good. And let's see. Oh, one of the things that we did on this trip that we didn't do last year was we took a day and went to Stratford-upon-Avon.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did some things like touring the Royal Shakespeare Company's theater, and we went to Shakespeare's birthplace. And after the show, we had a little time just to kind of wander around. And Dan and I found a wonderful little spot called Prospero's Lounge. You can imagine in Stratford-upon-Avon, many of the stores and restaurants refer to characters in Shakespeare's plays.
Sure.
Yeah. And so hence Prospero. So we went, and it turns out that they had a substantial vegan menu.
Cool.
Yes, which was great. So again, not a fully vegan place, but they did have a substantial vegan menu. They also had a substantial gluten-free menu.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So having those things kind of laid out for you is really, really nice.
Yeah.
So there I got some spicy coconut dan noodles with cauliflower.
I am a fan of the Dan.
Yes, me too. And so wonderful spicy noodles with lots of veg, but cauliflower was the star here. Absolutely fantastic. I believe Dan got a burger.
Dan didn't get the Dan?
Dan did not get the Dan. No, he did not. I'm sure he will appreciate that joke.
Dan, you got to get the Dan.
Exactly. But it was fantastic. And also, again, I just want to note that a lot of these places are also doing really wonderful mocktails.
You know, mocktails are a thing now.
They are really becoming a thing.
Which is great because so many people are alcohol free now, you know, and especially vegans. A lot of vegans are alcohol free. And so the fact that you can go to a restaurant and get a special cocktail, get a specialty drink, and not be forced to get soda or tea or something like that while everybody else has these fancy drinks with, you know, with fruit coming out of them or whatever.
Exactly.
It's a good trend, and I'm happy to see it.
Me too.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite mocktail of the trip was at Mildred's on New Year's Eve. I had their spiced pineapple martini.
Ooh.
It was ridiculous.
That sounds good.
It was just ridiculous. It was really hard not to have a second one.
Yeah.
And the only disadvantage to mocktails, of course, is they tend to be on the pricey side.
Well, because they price them the same as
cocktails.
As a cocktail.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so, they're going to be a little pricey.
Yeah. I also had a wonderful passion fruit based mocktail at Wagamama and also a passion fruit based mocktail at Prospero's Lounge. I had a wonderful kind of a lemonade at Sagar. I'm trying to remember what the one I got at Dishoom was, but it was also crazy. It was just really good. And I did have 2 of those.
Well, the thing with the mocktail is you don't have to feel bad about having to.
Right. It's just the cost of them, you know, that seems extravagant.
Yeah, they're a little pricey.
Yeah. It just
in
feels
most places.
Yeah, it feels extravagant.
Yeah.
But then again, since that's not something that I do every day, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. So really, really wonderful. So that was really the big part of our food adventures.
There was some really good stuff in there.
There was really good stuff in there.
Really good stuff.
Yeah. And so I just love kind of having on my list places that I know I want to return to, places that I know I want to take you to the next time we're in London together.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that will happen. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah. I mean, we were supposed to go to Mildred's in our last London trip and we were sick. So it didn't happen.
So it didn't work
I had
out.
to cancel the reservation, which was very sad.
It was a bummer. Yeah, it was. But also there are just so many places in London. So just knowing that, you know, every year I can kind of scope out a few more.
New ones, yes.
Yeah, it's really great.
Yeah.
The other big thing about the London trip was the shows.
Yeah. So if people
11 shows.
Yeah, and if people don't know, Sam teaches in the Department of Theater and Dance. So these kids their studies are usually focused on theater and dance.
Yes. And so this year we had a group of 10 students, 9 of whom were theater students of various stripes. The 10th was actually a communications major, which was super cool. We hadn't had anyone from outside of our department on the trip last year.
That's really interesting.
So that was super awesome.
Yeah.
And the main focus of the trip is that we take them to see 5 or 6 professional theatrical productions during our time in London.
Yeah.
But on top of that, when there's free time, they are encouraged to go see other things. And then Dan and I also will go see other things. So we did a total of 11 shows in 9 days.
That's crazy.
That is definitely a record for me.
That is crazy.
It was crazy.
That's a lot of theater.
So much fun.
Yeah.
Out of the 11, 4 of the plays were Shakespeare plays, which is phenomenal because I love Shakespeare.
Yeah, Sam loves her some Shakespeare.
I do love me some Shakespeare.
Yeah.
And so we saw All's Well That Ends Well. We saw The Tempest with Sigourney Weaver, which was kind of cool to see someone that famous up close.
Uh-huh.
I will say Sigourney Weaver is not meant for Shakespeare.
Yeah, she apparently gave a pretty disappointing performance.
I mean, I don't want to say disappointing because I didn't have any expectations.
Right.
But it was just kind of like, and I think maybe it was especially after seeing a stellar production of All's Well That Ends Well the night before.
Yeah.
With so much attention paid to the language,
Yeah.
which is really the important part of Shakespeare. Mm-hmm. I just didn't feel much of a connection to the language for her in particular. The rest of the production was beautiful. The tech was stunning.
Yeah.
The actor who played Ariel was amazing. But her performance was just a bit flat for me.
That's too bad.
Mm-hmm. And then let's see, then we did Twelfth Night, and that was at the Royal Shakespeare Company. That was fantastic. But my favorite of the 4 was most definitely The Merchant of Venice, 1936. So it took Shakespeare's The Merchant of Venice and put it essentially in Germany in 1936. And we all know what was going on in Germany in 1936.
Yeah.
This was the rise of actually, no, it was not set in Germany. It was set in Britain in 1936. And so this was the rise of European fascism prior to the Second World War. And it ended with a protest that kept fascism from really taking hold in Britain. It was incredibly inspiring. This was the first production of The Merchant of Venice in which a woman played the character Shylock.
Okay.
And it was unbelievable from start to finish. I was just on the edge of my seat. It was so incredibly well done. I really would like to see it again. It was just amazing. So those were the 4 Shakespeares. And then we saw some musicals. We saw Guys and Dolls at the Bridge Theater, which is
classic.
Yes, absolute classic. But the way this is staged is just out of this world. It's done at the Bridge Theater, which is a non-traditional theater space. And so what happens is there are these platforms that are built into the floor. And so at various points in the play, different sections of the floor will rise up and become the focal point.
That's cool.
Yeah, it really is amazing. We saw this production of Guys and Dolls last year when we did this trip and decided it was just so phenomenal. We had to
was worth seeing
do it
again.
again. Yeah, so we saw it a second time. Different cast. There were some repeats. I recognized some faces from the year before, but a lot of the cast had moved on and changed. So that was really, really awesome. Let's see. We then saw Starlight Express.
This is a wacky show.
This is a wacky show. So this is an Andrew Lloyd Webber. It's not nearly as famous as some of his others, Phantom, Les Mis, all of the Cats, all of that. But it's about trains.
Right.
It's about a kid having a dream that her toy trains come to life and race each other. And of course, there's a romance in amongst all of this between 2 train cars. And it's just nutty. But the best thing about it is that it's all done on roller skates.
All the actors are on roller skates.
Through
the entire production.
Yes. Yeah. It is a blast.
The costuming from the pictures that Sam sent me, they looked like Transformers on roller skates.
That's a pretty good
So I'm
evaluation.
imagining that they would like connect with each other to make like the train
and
rolling around.
Yes.
Spectacles, lots of crazy lighting things going on. And,
it's a technician's dream or nightmare, however you want to think about it. But visually absolutely spectacular. And, the everyone being on roller skates just did not get old. Every single time, they
they're still on roller skates.
They're still on roller skates, and now they're dancing on roller skates.
That's
and now
crazy.
there's guys on scooters doing flips off of this, ramp that is in the center of the stage.
Super spectacle.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is one of those musicals where, the story is not spectacular,
But it doesn't matter.
The music is okay.
Right.
There were a few pieces that I really, really liked, but most of it was for me a little bit on the forgettable side.
Yeah.
But the spectacle of it is so incredible.
Yeah. It sounds
That it
really
works.
it sounds intriguing.
It really is.
Yeah.
And I would definitely like to see it again.
Yeah.
But of the musicals we saw, by far the winner for me was called Why Am I So Single?
Mm-hmm.
It's a new musical, relatively new musical that was done by the writers of Six. And
Right. If you're not familiar, Six is about Henry VIII's wives.
Yes.
But it's contemporary. The music's all contemporary.
it's basically the Six Wives of Henry VIII meet the Spice Girls.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind of had a bias against Six for a while because that period in history, the early Northern Renaissance, is one of my favorite periods of history.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, there's way too much going on at that time. You cannot summarize that period of history in 8 pop songs.
In a pop song. Yeah.
But it's awesome. Like, the experience of being at that show is really quite awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Why Am I So Single is kind of like the polar opposite of Six. The music still has a very specific pop feel to it, but it's really 2 people in one of their flats. Okay, they're a best friend team, and they're in one of their flats, and they're basically asking the question, why am I so single?
Yeah.
And the songs take you through kind of this journey and getting to know each of them.
Yeah.
And it is so wonderfully honest and so incredibly queer.
Yeah. So it's an LGBTQ
Yes.
focused storyline.
Without question.
Yeah.
And it was really beautiful because Dan and I and a couple of the LGBTQ kids who were with us on this show were just like, wow, we never see our relationships in theater.
Rarely. Yeah.
And certainly they're never the focal point.
Right.
Like, you get a little bit of that in Rent,
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, as a necessity, but it's just not the norm.
Right.
To see queer relationships as a focal point on stage.
Yeah.
And to kind of get queer thought processes about relationships as a focal point. And so it was really, really moving. It was funny. It was campy. It was honest. I laughed. I cried. It was phenomenal. And so I'm really hoping, because it's coming to the end of its run in London, and I'm really, really hoping that it's going to transfer to New York.
Yeah, or maybe there'll be a touring company.
Or maybe there will be a touring company, because I really want you to see it, and I really want Lucy to see it.
Yeah.
Because it was just so good. I was really floored. And I love it when I go into a show not knowing what to expect or feeling even a little bit dubious about it, and coming out just completely sold.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? Yeah, you got me. In the first song, you got me. And I was there the whole time. Yeah, it was just phenomenal.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it was really amazing. And then let's see, Dan and I saw Oliver, which was incredibly well done. Again, the tech was fantastic, but the ending kind of sucked. It was just the most anticlimactic ending to a show I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
We saw The Mousetrap, which is the longest running play in world history.
Yeah.
It's been running for 73 years.
I know, that's crazy.
It is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, something like 23,000 performances.
Oh, wait, let me find the picture, because I know exactly what performance we saw, because I took a picture of it. Because, that's okay. Here we go. The performance that we saw was number 29,908.
Wow. And I said to Sam, the cast must be really old.
Funny. Yeah, but it was fantastic. And I was really glad I saw it, because one of my favorite movies is Clue. And this is kind of the precursor
Mousetrap is
Clue.
Agatha Christie,
Yes,
correct?
it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Clue is definitely based on Agatha Christie-esque
Yes,
stuff.
it has that feel to
Yeah.
it. But Clue kind of takes the campiness and the pacing
to an extreme.
to an extreme. And I almost wanted the Mousetrap to pick things up just a little bit. And it wasn't that I felt that the pacing was slow. It was that I felt like some of the banter between characters could have been a little faster, that it would have been more effective if it was a little bit faster. But it really was wonderful. And that's been on my list to see for quite some time. So I'm really, really glad that we got to do that. But oh my gosh, yes, just so many things.
Yeah.
And I'm just so very fortunate that I get to do this each year, to go back to a city that I love and see a ton of theater. And
it's a really cool thing. And to expose a different set of students to London if they've never been there, to London, the London theater scene if they've never been. And they learn so much, and you give them time to venture out on their own, which is really cool. So London 2025 sounds to me like it was a success.
It was, and we're already making plans for London 2026.
Yeah, and so you'll hear all about that next year.
Yep.
Well, we're already an hour in.
Okay.
So, you listening at home, if you'd like to take a break, get yourself a beverage, go use the restroom.
We support that.
This now is the time to do that. We'll wait. Or you could just push pause.
I think the latter might be the better option.
Well, anyway, with all of that said, wow, London. Yay, London.
Yay, London.
It is now time for our main topic. And this week's main topic is a 2024 Compassion and Cucumbers recap.
Yeah. So we had a lot going on this year.
Yeah, so I thought we could just take a little bit of a look back. Talk about some things that we loved, maybe some things we didn't love so much.
Absolutely. So this was the year where we did our largest number of Veg Fests.
Was it? It seemed like so many of them didn't pan out for us this year.
Well, we had loads of plans for other Veg Fests, and then they either got canceled or we had conflicting dates and things like that. So we did have a couple of events get canceled, but still we did more Veg Fests this year than we've done in any other year.
We did?
Yes, we did. I know you don't believe me, but
no,
it's
I trust
true.
your memory better than mine. That's for sure.
That's very wise. So yes, our first Veg Fest of the year was in Cleveland.
Which
was absolutely wonderful. We
Cleveland rocks.
Cleveland did in fact rock in this particular case. We did the Rochester Veg Fest.
We did.
Which was a wonderful time. It was a great day. Absolutely loved the Rochester Veg Fest.
Great fest. Really great fest.
Yep.
Highly recommend.
And we were unable to do the Pittsburgh Veg Fest, but we did do the Pittsburgh Veg Fair.
Yes, which was a fundraiser for the Pittsburgh Veg Fest that occurred earlier in the year.
Yes.
And it was the first time they've done it, and it was a really well-organized event.
Yeah, it really, really was.
Yeah.
And so, we're looking forward to hopefully doing either the Veg Fair or the Pittsburgh Veg Fest or both this year. Now, of course, one of our favorite Veg Fests, the Syracuse Veg Fest, did not happen this year.
No, it was canceled this year.
Yes. And we were unable to do the Western New York Veg Fest because of scheduling. It was scheduled at the last minute, and we already had a commitment.
Yeah, so there's two that we would have done. One didn't happen and one we couldn't make it.
Yes. And so we are hoping that this year, this Veg Fest season coming up, we will do at least 5 or 6 Veg Fests. But still, just the fact that, we're doing more each year is really exciting. We also did the Total Eclipse fundraiser at the Vegan Center. Yeah,
that was a fundraiser for Penelope's Place, which is a chicken sanctuary. And I forgot to put on here, we also did, benefiting Penelope's Place, we did the meatless raffle.
Oh, which was so much fun.
That was a good time.
Yeah, we will definitely be doing that again if that event happens again, because, oh my gosh. So much fun.
That was an amazing amount of fun.
It really was.
Super well organized. Vanessa that runs Penelope's Place is She's phenomenal at that kind of thing.
She knows how to throw an event.
Yeah, she really does know how to throw an event.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And also we should mention that we also were at the Fall on the Farm fundraiser.
Fall on the Farm. You know, I was going through the calendar.
Mockingbird Farm Sanctuary.
And for some reason that got missed. I don't know why.
Well, I didn't miss it, so we're all good.
Yeah, Fall on the Farm was a really good time, and it's growing and growing and growing.
Yeah.
Every year there's more vendors, and every year they improve it and add more fun things for people to do.
Yep.
It's a really great event. If
Yep.
you're anywhere near Mockingbird Farms Animal Sanctuary, check that out. It usually happens late August, early September? October.
It's usually in October. She has
Me
no
and time.
concept of time.
Me and time. You know, when I think of an event, I try and remember what the weather was like, and that kind of clues me into as to where when it was.
Yeah. No, since she
October.
retired.
Yeah, October. Early
no
October.
concept of time.
Yeah.
Absolutely none.
And we'll be making you aware of all of these events as they occur. We'll reaching out to people, try to as early as possible get dates for some of these events so you can plan on your calendar.
Yes.
You know.
Well, and of course, because we want to plan as early as possible. I mean, we do already know that we have a couple of things coming up this summer.
Yeah.
We're super excited. We are going to have a European adventure.
We are.
This summer.
Yeah.
It's not going to be one of our longer stints, but probably about a week.
Yeah.
We're going to Berlin.
We're going to Berlin because Sam, for Christmas, got me tickets to see Patti Smith, who is my all-time favorite musician, poet, person in general. And I've never been able to see her live. So this was just like,
Yeah.
I screamed, I cried.
She did.
It was so great.
It was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I was trying to come up with something cool because I like to give experiential gifts.
Yeah.
There are very few things that Christine and I actually need.
It's so true.
And so a lot of our Christmas gifts end up being practical. It's really, they fall into like 4 categories: practical, funny, edible,
consumable,
or travel.
Yeah.
Or experiential, I should say. And so last year, my Christmas gift to Christine was a trip to see Hadestown in New York.
In New York, yep.
So we did our little trip to New York over Valentine's Day weekend.
Oh, so that
last year,
that wasn't in there either. Oh, it's in my notables section.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did that. And I kind of wanted something to, go along with that theme.
Yeah.
Like let's jump on a train and go somewhere and see something cool.
Yeah.
And so I looked at the plays in New York and there wasn't really anything that I was dying for us both to see. And so I started looking at musicians who were touring. I just did a search for musicians who are touring in 2025. And after, oh my gosh, I don't know how long I was looking at this list. It was a couple of hours easily that I was into this list. So it was almost Suzanne Vega in Chicago. It was, I can't remember what the other almost was, but then all of a sudden I came upon Patti Smith and I was like, you are kidding.
Yeah, because opportunities to see Patti Smith perform are going to be few and far between. She's 79 now.
Yeah.
Still going like mad.
Yes. And she only had 4 dates listed and they were all in Germany.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that has to be it. And so we haven't planned the full trip yet. We haven't decided how many days it's going to be, but we do know that we will be heading to Berlin in early July. Yep, to see Patti Smith, which is just super cool.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Other notable things that we did in 2024. We got interviewed by Wes and Matt of the How I Vegan podcast,
which was so much fun.
That was such a fun interview.
Oh my gosh. I really want to go back and listen to that again, actually, because that was just such a great time.
Yeah. And if you're looking for another podcast, a vegan podcast to listen to, highly recommend How I Vegan podcast. Those guys are they're a hoot.
They are. They're awesome.
Yeah.
Just awesome.
Yeah.
We attended a screening of Christspiracy.
Yes, which is available now for everyone to see.
Yes, we highly recommend.
Yep.
We went and saw Lucy and Owen, our niece and my brother, in a musical together, which was just a hoot and a half.
It was a blast, and it's a good thing we were sitting in the back because Sam was laughing so hard at her brother at times where he wasn't doing things that were supposed to be laughed at.
I'm sorry, my brother coming on stage in a full-on Napoleon hat just killed me.
Yeah, she was dying laughing.
I really was.
It's good that we were in the back.
I haven't seen him do theater since he was in high school.
Yeah.
And it was just really quite amazing. And him dancing as a tree, come on.
That was hysterical.
It really was.
We, of course, had our niece Lucy stay with us in August. She stays with us for her theater camp here in Fredonia, and that's always a rocking good time.
Sure
She always
is.
stays here for a couple of weeks.
Of course, we went to New York to see Hadestown, and we also took a quick trip up to Toronto to see my current favorite band, Fawn.
Yeah, that was a good time.
Which was unbelievable. And actually, I'm kind of hoping that maybe, just maybe, Fawn will be doing a couple of dates in Germany while we're there, and maybe we can catch them.
That would be convenient.
I'm going to see if that happens.
Yeah.
They don't have any dates listed yet, but anyway.
Yeah. And I put on here our London trip where we ended up with the flu, but that was 2023,
That was
right?
2023.
November, that's what I thought.
That was November of 2023.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that does not belong on this list.
It does not. This Thanksgiving week, we were home and kind of snowed in.
Were we snowed in?
I mean, not fully, but remember we had snow days at the end of Thanksgiving break.
Yeah, but we still managed to go to my family's for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, absolutely. But we had some nice snowy weather, and
we did have a lot of snowy weather.
Yeah. So there we go.
Anything else you can think of that you want to talk about that we did in 2024, or anything you want to reminisce about? Or
no, I think I'm good. It was a pretty good year.
I think it was a really good year. I think the show, I think we had a great year of episodes. I think we're growing.
Yeah.
I think our listenership is growing. Thank you to all of you listening. We appreciate all of you. Tons and tons and tons.
Yeah, we do.
And on that note, it is time for our favorite portion of the show.
Must be listener shout out time.
It's listener shout out.
Just want to give a shout out to all my fans watching. I love you guys. I love you.
This week's listener shout out goes to Deborah Shembry. Thanks for listening, Deborah, and thank you so much for wishing us well when the Halloween flu came to our house.
It's true. It's true. We had the Halloween flu.
Which for Christine turned into pneumonia.
And then I ended up with pneumonia, then a sinus infection, then my ear was plugged for over a month.
Christine's had a rough end to the year, health-wise.
I'm still convinced that we cursed ourselves in that one episode.
Where we said we just don't get sick.
Where we said we don't get sick.
Yeah, that was folly.
Yeah.
That was folly.
Although, I can say, that the nurse, when I went to the doctor with my pneumonia, she said, "Oh, everybody's getting it." I'm like, "What?
Yeah.
Everybody's getting pneumonia?" We don't find that strange that everybody's getting pneumonia?
Well, I mean, that's why as soon as you were over it, I went and got a pneumonia vaccine.
Yeah. I guess I need to get the pneumonia vaccine.
I think you should.
Yeah.
I also got my COVID booster.
Yeah.
I got my shingles vaccine.
She got
the whole thing.
All at the same time.
All at the same time, which was maybe not the smartest choice.
Probably not a good idea to get 4
No, it was only
vaccinations.
3.
Oh, okay.
Let's not overstate. It was only 3. But doing 3 at one time, 2 in one arm and 1 in the other, probably not.
Yeah, but we are
the
totally
smartest
digressing.
decision. We are.
Deborah, thank you so much for listening. Send us your t-shirt size and address so that we can send you a Compassion and Cucumber swag bag. You can text us that information using the link in our show notes. Be sure to include your name. Or you can email us at compassionandcucumbers@gmail.com or DM us on Instagram or Facebook.
And for the rest of you out there, if you would like a listener shout out, please text, email, or DM Christine. Let us know what you think of the show and tell us a little bit about yourself. And remember, you can also nominate someone else for a shout out.
You can.
It doesn't need to be all about you.
It doesn't. Text us, let us know somebody's had a birthday coming and you want us to tell them happy birthday, or an anniversary, or a veganiversary.
Gotta love a good veganiversary.
Yes, and it is January, and we didn't say happy Veganuary.
We didn't.
Because it's really not a thing we do.
Not so much.
If you do know people that are doing the whole Veganuary challenge, encourage them, give them useful information, lend them a cookbook, make them a meal,
You bet.
because it is a good thing. And with that, it is time to wrap this baby up. Hey, before we go, If you're in the Western New York or Central New York area, we will be hosting, along with the Syracuse Vegan Living Program, a vegan trivia event this coming Saturday, the 18th, at Aurora's Vegan Cafe in Syracuse, New York, from 4 to 6 p.m. If you are interested in playing vegan trivia with us, if you want to test your vegan knowledge, please RSVP to Syracuse V as in Victor, L as in Larry, P as in Paul at gmail.com. As space is limited. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, me too.
It's going to be a good time.
It is going to be a good time.
Yeah. And don't forget, subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast app. Subscribe to our YouTube. Tell your friends, tell your family to listen. Leave us a review and a rating if you can, so we can reach more great people like you.
And if you are so inclined, toss a vote for us in at the VegNews Veggie Awards.
Sure. If you want to vote for us for the best vegan podcast, we will not stop you.
We won't.
Go ahead and do it. Vote as many times as you can. No, you can only vote once.
Yeah, only once.
Yeah, you can only vote once.
You have to put your name and your email address in each time, so only one vote. All right, friends. You have just listened to episode 168 of the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast, and there's nothing left to say but where cukes and compassion are always the fashion. On the podcast.
Thank you, James.
Have a great week, everyone.
We'll talk to you next Tuesday.
We love you.
We really do. Bye-bye.
The end.
If you'd like to support the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast, well, you can do that by hopping on over to our Patreon page and becoming a patron. We have all the recipes from our Vegan Kitchen series up there, and we'll be adding some patron-only episodes in the near future. So thank you for supporting us at whatever level that you choose, and thank you again for listening to Compassion and Cucumbers podcast.